You're unhappy. You know you're unhappy. You've known it for months, maybe even years. And yet, you are still there. Look, this isn't happening because you haven't thought about leaving. I know you think about it constantly. It plays on the loop in your quietest moments. And it's definitely not because you don't know what needs to happen. You know exactly what needs to happen. You've mapped out the exit in your mind 100 times over. So why are you still there? Why can't you just take that final step? Something is keeping you frozen at the exit. Something invisible, incredibly powerful, and absolutely relentless. In this explainer, we're gonna dig deeply into the dark psychology of this exact paralysis. We're gonna put a name to the unseen forces holding you down right now, so let's dive into this. Section 1, the fear of the unknown. The first anchor tying you to the floor is the sheer terror of what comes next, because the relationship you're in, however deeply painful it might be, is at least familiar to you. You see, it all comes down to a biological truth about your paralysis. On one side, you have known pain. You know the exact rhythms of your current pain. You know the patterns, you anticipate the worst moments, and you know the apologies that always follow. You have developed an absolute expertise in surviving this specific environment. But what comes after? Unknown possibility. It's loneliness. It's the terrifying prospect of starting over, and that dark whisper in the back of your mind that you might not actually be okay on your own. The human brain consistently chooses known pain over unknown possibility. Not because the pain is better, but because your nervous system treats uncertainty as a literal threat to your survival. And leaving is the most uncertain thing there is. Section 2, the identity problem. Let's see how this builds into our second anchor, the entanglement of who you are with where you are. Over time, this relationship has stopped being just something you're a part of. It's become a core part of your identity. Who are you without this person? That question right there is a massive psychological hurdle. What does your life even look like? Your weekends, your home, your future? All of it relies on the structure this relationship provides, no matter how deeply flawed that structure actually is. Leaving requires far more than just ending a relationship. It requires completely reconstructing a self. And that is one of the most psychologically exhausting and demanding things a human being can do. It's especially daunting when your sense of self has been slowly eroded by years of someone else's influence over your life. Section 3, the cruelty of hope. Now, the forces we just talked about, they pale in comparison to this next one. This is the most invisible and easily the most powerful tether of them all. We really need to talk about hope. The crucial point you need to understand is this. Hope in a toxic or dying relationship is incredibly cruel. Why? Because there's a version of this person that you have actually seen. Maybe it was at the very beginning. Maybe it appears in rare, fleeting moments that feel just real enough to hold on to. And as long as that beautiful version of them is possible, as long as hope exists, leaving feels like you're giving up on something real. Hope is the most powerful anchor there is, because it's not irrational. It's based on something you actually experienced. The absolute cruelty of hope here is that it remains just credible enough to make leaving feel like a premature surrender. Section 4, the architecture of guilt. Then there's the heavy machinery of guilt, that constant agonizing question, what will happen to them if I leave? They've told you they need you. They've shown it in moments of profound vulnerability that felt entirely too real to simply dismiss. This is the perfect trap for highly empathetic people. If your sense of responsibility for others was installed deep in your childhood, leaving someone who needs you feels like a horrific act of cruelty. But here is the hard, necessary truth that your guilt will never tell you. You are not responsible for another adult's life. You are not required to sacrifice your own existence to manage theirs. Walking away isn't an act of cruelty. At this stage, it's the only honest thing left to do. Section 5, practical paralysis. Now, we obviously can't ignore the physical world. The entire architecture of your life is built around this person, and breaking that down brings us to practical paralysis. The logistics of disentangling two woven lives are absolutely staggering. Finances, housing, kids, shared friends. These are incredibly real obstacles. I am not telling you they're imaginary. For a lot of people, these are genuinely significant, terrifying barriers that require a monumental effort to navigate. But practical obstacles become deeply psychological ones when they're used to delay. Consciously or subconsciously, you use these logistics as reasons to postpone a decision that has already been made internally. There's always one more thing to sort out, right? One more reason the timing just isn't right. one more practical problem to solve first. But the practical problems never fully resolve because they aren't the real problem. They are a shield. Section 6. The fear of being the one who left. Hiding behind that shield is another fear entirely. What will people think? What are they going to see about you? What story will be told? And will you be cast as the villain in it? For those who deeply value how they're perceived, the fear of being seen as the person who abandoned someone is a massive, suffocating barrier. But you have to remember this. You are the only one who lives inside your relationship. The people judging the story out there, they don't live in your house. They don't live in your mind. You are the only one who truly knows what staying has cost you. And ultimately, you are the only one who will have to live with the consequences of the decision you make or the decision you fail to make. Section 7. The decision that was already made. And this brings us to the absolute most important revelation in this explainer, the true psychological reality of why you are frozen. Here's what psychology tells us about people who are frozen at the exit. Most of them aren't actually deciding what to do. You've already made the decision. Internally, quietly, privately, in the dark. The decision was made a long time ago. What you are currently doing in this frozen state is waiting. You are waiting for permission. Permission from your circumstances to get just a little bit worse. Permission from the other person to cross a line you finally can't ignore. You're waiting for someone to look at you and tell you that it is allowed. So here it is. Listen to me very, very carefully. It is okay to go. Your unhappiness is real. Your reasons are valid. You do not need to wait for things to get worse before you are allowed to choose better. You have the permission you've been waiting for. Being frozen at the exit for this long is not a weakness. It is the absolute evidence of a person who takes their commitments incredibly seriously. It's the mark of someone who doesn't leave lightly, someone who has tried everything they could possibly think of first. That isn't something you should be ashamed of. That is something you should be deeply proud of. But it is also, when the time comes, something you are allowed to finally put down. So ask yourself this: what life is waiting for you once you finally turn the handle? If you found this explainer helpful, make sure to subscribe to Dark Archive. Every single week, we open a new file exploring the forbidden psychology, the buried history, and the dark truths they never taught you in school. Do what you need to do for your life. The archive is open.